Who are the youngsters next in line? That was a question sent in to us by a fan, and we're going to be answering those your questions on today's show. That's what the show's about. It's all about us answering your questions in the live chat on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're on Facebook and you're watching this show, please go head over to YouTube and go subscribe to the channel as well, because that's where we do daily videos on South African cricket. But today is all about the fans. Today it's all about me answering your questions. So let's get straight into today's show. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share, please. That's very important. But also become a patron today. That's how you help us grow South African cricket and help us promote South African cricket, and helps you also become a bigger fan and take you on that journey from fan, super fan to fanatic. So become a part of the Patreon account. You'll be directly involved in decisions that we make in the future. So get involved with the Patreon account. Then I would also like you to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. This is the latest issue. It's about being a captain. There is some excellent articles in this particular uh, edition of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. You get some awesome insights into being a captain, what the characters are, what it means to be a captain, etc. So please go ahead and download the latest issue of that too, please. It really, really will help us out if you do so. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video and let's chat and let me answer your questions as best as I can. Uh, I always love this section of the show because it gives you guys opportunities and free reign to ask me whatever you want. And I enjoy answering your questions. So let's get into this. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show, your fan Q&A session. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. But this show specifically answers your questions. It gives me an opportunity to answer your questions in the live chat and what you sent in on social media. So we're going to get into that straight away. But before I get started, this is also a news show to a degree, where we chat about news, not necessarily a breaking news show, but a show where we discuss the different topics that has happened in recent times in South African cricket. Now, the latest update that we can bring to you, which you guys probably already know about, that is the latest statement from Cricket South Africa. So, Cricket South Africa and England and Wales Cricket Board have agreed to resume the third test at the Kia Oval in London on Saturday, 10 September. The match will be played over the remaining 3 days in accordance with the original schedule. Unfortunately, play was abandoned on day one due to the extensive rain, and day two was suspended following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Rest in peace. The ECB and CSA considered whether it was possible to extend the final match of the series by 1 day, but this was unfortunately not feasible due to the Proteas' current schedule and imminent departure of the white ball squad for another 2-month tour. The Proteas players have already been away from home for over 2 months and will only play a few days with families at home before leaving on the next 2-month tour to India and the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in Australia. The test squad will arrive home on Wednesday, 14 September, as scheduled, with the white ball squad and the entire team management set to depart for a limited overs tour of India on 23 September. CSA CEO Poletsi Moseke has said, CSA is in full support of ECB's decision to go ahead with the third test match between England and South Africa following the UK's day of mourning. After consultation with the Proteas' team management and given the schedule ahead, it was clear that it would not be in the players' interest to extend the test and reduce the few days the players have with their families before another long tour. To commemorate the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, both teams will observe a minute of silence prior to the start of play, and each squad member will wear black armbands for the duration of the match. So let's first discuss that before I get into your questions, guys. How do we feel about the fact that we're only going to get 3 days and perhaps maybe not even get those 3 days based on this weather report? So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, hopefully, are the days that we're going to get. But that will mean that we need a full day, Saturday and Sunday, of cricket to try and get some sort of outcome in this game. Otherwise, we're just going to have to settle for a draw, which they don't seem to be so unhappy about. I feel like they would take the points, and that worries me a little bit because I think that South Africa should have found a way on how to get this to work and maybe go for the victory, get the 4 days under their belt and go for the victory. Um, but now I think I've given our best chance of doing anything is probably to get a draw out of this match now if it's only going to be 3 days. I know that the previous test ended prematurely as well. That doesn't mean that this one is, if the cricket is as flat as people said it was supposed to be. So now it's going to be interesting on how they're going to what they're going to do going forward. But take the points. It's a draw. I guess that will put more pressure on us to win the rest of the tours that we will be going on so that we can get into the WTC final. But let's see what some of you guys have to say about this topic, because I think that you did speak about it. Leclerc says, Khalid, it's a foolish decision by CSA not to delay their flight until Wednesday because the Proteas need a win to have 1 foot in the WTC final. England have nothing to gain. They are bottom of the WTC. And then we can, sorry, this is the next question, which is the main question. Let's move on to someone else. We are over 70% in WTC now, are at 66%. With a draw, it will be 63%. We're losing our chances to play a final. Maseki is really stupid, guys. Shouldn't be CEO. Former players should be next CEO who can make the decision. Let me scan through some more. Michael says CSA will get more funds thanks to CSA T20 League. Okay, that's a different, sorry. So that's a different answer. We should have given us the best chance of winning the test match. I agree with you, Lawrence. Khalid, SA should have accepted the extra day. Khalid, it's strange that CSA not yet announced the domestic fixtures. It's coming out this week. I'll bring it to you guys as soon as it is announced. So it seems that some of you guys, or most of you guys, are sitting on the same narrative of we should have taken the extra day. I don't know how that extra day would have really affected the team, but financially it would have. I think that pushing that flight back from the UK to South Africa might be very expensive for everybody. Maybe that's also in the back of their minds. But I think they should have maybe taken the extra day and tried to win the match. It's worrying that SA have refused to find another alternative and are happy with a draw. But it's not surprising at all. It's clear South Africa doesn't really care about Test cricket. The future of the format in this country looks bleak, very bleak. It's obvious to see. It is obvious to see. I don't like it. I'm a big fan of the Test format. I'm a big fan of red ball cricket. Mainly also because what lessons it teaches our cricketers. It teaches them patience. It teaches them mental strength. It teaches them how to battle through difficult times. It teaches them so many lessons that you actually can learn in life too. And that's what I love about Test cricket. And the fact that we are not putting emphasis on that is worrying for me, because the future of Test cricket is in our hands. We decide, or CSA decides, what's going to be happening. So I think as a fan base as well, we most likely will probably have to also put our foot down or come together as a community of fans and support our boys in red ball cricket to force their hand into putting more effort into it. If we can try and get ourselves to more Test cricket and to more red ball cricket, and to get us to watch more domestic cricket, going to the stadiums, trying to fill it up a little bit. I'm not talking about filling it up with 7,000 fans, 8,000 fans, but let's just try to get the hundreds at least, and try to get more people into the stadiums to be interested in this, even if it is in sporadic sections throughout the the 4 days. But I really want to find a way, or I want South Africa to find a way to save our Test cricket. I don't like where the focus is. I understand that the T20s will make us money, and it's very important right now for CSA to get as much money that they can get in, so that they can filter that money throughout the pipeline, throughout domestic cricket, through the grassroots level, etc. But let's wait and see what happens. I've got Aditya with me now. He's joining me to answer your questions too. Welcome to the show, buddy. Let's move on. Lawrence says, even with a draw, we're losing valuable test points. Crazy decision. What is your decision on this, Aditya? I mean, it was just only one extra day, really.
Honestly, I think uh, if I don't know if this is possible, but I would basically start the entire test again. Because there's obviously the first day lost to rain, and then you have a second day where the country is mourning the queen, and you basically start on third day. And I don't think that's for a series decider. If you really value Test cricket, there needs to be another way to sort of figure this out.
Mm,
Um, because I don't think it's fair to either team, right? Like if how do you position your mindset? Is this like a one innings blowout, or do you plan it as if you're playing an innings and a half? What do you do? And honestly, I think people want to see like proper 5 day contest. So I don't know. um I don't know what the scene is going to be, but I think a 3 day game would be quite disappointing in my view.
mhm. Lorenzo says, can people just relax, please? Don't blame CSA. The players also had a say in the decision, as they want to spend more time with the family before going on another long tour. They would have spoken to everybody. Captain would have been involved, coaches, staff, everybody would have been involved with this decision. And if that's the decision they made, we have to respect that as well. There's no point in us getting our knickers in a twist just because we upset about not getting the test match that we wanted and the points that we wanted. Uh, it is unfortunate because I really wanted to see South Africa win this Test series, and we were in a very good position. And the way it's unfolded is almost hard. It's almost demoralizing in a way, because just the way that things unfolded from the start that we had at Lords to how we messed up the second test, and then now sitting here with us that we couldn't foresee. We couldn't foresee that the Queen was going to pass away. I mean, at the time when it happened, you guys were talking about it. I didn't know yet at that point when you were asking me questions about what happens if the Queen passes away, and I thought it quite. At that particular time, I was like, "What?" Like I thought it was strange. But then while we were live, she passed away. So Her Majesty passed away. So unfortunately, the that's life, and things happen in life, and you can't foresee those type of things. But I mean, it, I think it's more. I think not only is it because they want to hang out with their family, I think it's also the financial um, implications that are also involved with regards to this tour. Flights are expensive to South Africa from from England. Khalid is just let's. Is it just me, or does it look like the CEO doesn't really put a lot into Test cricket again, prioritizing a white ball India tour?
Sorry, before we continue with that answer, flights to South Africa are expensive. I think oil is more expensive. Generally, back in the day, I remember before COVID hit, it used to cost about 34,000 rupees to travel from India to South Africa in the off season, and exactly the double in peak season. Um, so it was fairly reasonable compared to Europe and America.
Hmm. So this is true. I think not only the CEO, I think Cricket South Africa as an organization. I don't think this. We need to stop scapegoating different people in different positions. Like just because they give the statement doesn't mean they were the ones that made the decision. We need to remember that. You will give a representative will come out according to what the topic is. Because it's this topic, because it's about a tour, the CEO gets involved and speaks about it. If it was something else, then someone else would speak about it. It depends on what the topic also is. So we can't only blame the CEO for this decision. It's a group decision, I feel, as the entire South Africa, including the Proteas itself, that made a decision like this. So it's a bit different. Lichle says Stuart Hess wrote an interesting piece on IL Sports saying the SA fans contributed to a decline of the test match for the Proteas because they don't attend the test matches. Okay. That is true. I think that the problem with our fan base, what happening in cricket at the moment is we're losing our fans, guys, quicker than we hope. And I want you guys as a community to push cricket fanatics because I want to try to keep it alive. I want us to be able to one day all meet each other, go sit in a stadium together in a section in the stadium and go watch the games together, educate each other, learn from each other, grow this fanatics fan base so that we can start to fill up stadiums, guys. If we can start doing that, then it's better for all of us. So go find all the cricket lovers that you know and get them to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics magazine. Okay, Aditya, here's a question for you. Trevor Solomon. Trevor Solomon says, Aditya, what's the reason of India's early exit from the Asia Cup?
Um, well, I think we didn't play good enough cricket. Um, that's primarily why we lost. I think we can go into the technicalities. I think um, I think the bowling attack lacked the bite that it needed to win, and particularly given that so you can't control the toss, but I think the team batted well. In you look through the Asia Cup, I think the Indian team has batted well consistently. We've got good scores, but I think from a bowling point of view, uh, we were lacking, and particularly the pace bowling department because, Arshdeep is still inexperienced and, Bhuvaneshwar is good, but then the only support that he had was Hardik Pandya. So Hardik Pandya can play as a fourth seamer, not as a third seamer, in my view. And I think that's where India lost, and India is out of the Asia Cup early. So even if you put up, 180 on the board, the bowling didn't have the bite to defend it.
Mhm. Lawrence says, Alga in the press talked about this is like a World Cup final and how it is a must win, yet he declined the offer which would have enabled him to win the match, or just talk. I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I think there is more people involved than just Alga. I don't think it was Alga's decision alone. So I think Alga might think that way and he would have passed that message on from Boucher and would have passed that message on from to the team as well to say that they want to win this match and have that intent. But with the circumstances, we don't even know if we're going to get a full 2 days of cricket now. We don't know that. It could rain easily out of nowhere in Manchester. I mean, in London. We don't really necessarily know in England. Weather changes so quickly. So if there's more disruptions in the test match, then there would have been no reason to want to keep that extra day because then ultimately you're just going to be chilling in England on the day that it's supposed to rain anyway. So we're sitting in a difficult situation, and it was a difficult decision to make. I know we're not happy with the decision, but that is what it is. We need to make the best out of the situation right now. I don't agree that we prioritize white ball. I think we should prioritize red ball. I think South Africa's chances of becoming dominant in Test cricket is much bigger, I feel, than in the white ball format, in my opinion. But in the long term, because of the amount of emphasis is put on white ball cricket through the youth system coming through, for the future, white ball cricket might be better for South Africa from a monetary value point of view because you can get more talent. You have a bigger talent pool to pick from. Whereas in red ball cricket, we need to go look for those players, which is also why we brought up this particular topic today. Youngsters next in line, because we were asked this on Instagram. So I will get to that a little bit later. Let me get to some of more of your questions over here. Lee says, hopefully CSA 4-day will be televised. I don't think it will, bro. Unfortunately, I don't think enough people are interested in watching 4 days of cricket, domestic cricket. Uh, if it was the case, then SuperSport would get it on TV. SuperSport is a business at the end of the day. We need to understand that. They're going to put on TV what they think they're going to get the most ratings for. No, not ratings necessarily, but more viewers. Whatever gets the most viewership, that gives them the best buck for money. Because my because in my understanding of it is they get a lot of money from the advertising revenue in between. So the advertisements, etc., if they are not going to get what they paid for, which is viewership, it can really cause problems with regards to super sport. The money it's going to cost to get every single 4-day cricket on game on TV, because it's all games played at the same time all around the country, uh, can also be a reason why they don't want they've struggled to put it on, because it's not just one game, once off game. It's 4 days that you need a crew for, and in each particular province you need a a big crew that can have the cameras, can put up the stuff, be there, staff also to be able to cover it, all of those type of things. What they should do, maybe consider, is maybe putting some of the bigger games on TV, just one. If they can get one game on TV at least per week, the game of the week, you know, almost in a way, then that might be feasible. But let's see what happens in the future, because if we can create interest amongst fans about the game, which we are trying to do, Supersport will have an incentive to want to show the game. So let's get there, because I know they showed it recently, a couple of, I think last season, or the not last season, before COVID, I think they put a couple of games of Wood Cricket on TV. Let's hope. I mean, even if you're not going to play all the games, at least play the semi or the final. At least play the final on TV, the final game of the season, the decider. I know there's not a specific final, but at least you could put the decider on, the game that decides who wins the trophy. You know, so find a way on to put some cricket on TV, 4-day cricket. We have a cricket channel, 212, so that's dedicated to cricket. I'm sure they can find a way around it. Um, let's see. Khalid, which team is the favorite for the T20 World Cup? Do you think that SA T20 side is better than India's? Uh, um, India has a brilliant team, but the problem with it is you never know. You don't know what India's going to turn up. Now, Virat Kohli is coming in form again. He scored a century recently, so he is back in form. India's going to be extremely dangerous, I feel. I think the way they prepared, the opportunities that they've given to players, I like the way they've done it. Some people might say it's extreme because they gave like literally every single player that's on the brink of selection an opportunity. But I like that, because now you get to see which players play under pressure, which players play with that pressure on them of knowing that they can possibly get a starting spot. So India is dangerous, but I'm going to throw Australia into the mix because they're defending champions. It's in their home ground. It's on their in their home country, and on top of that, not only is it in their home country, they always find a way to win, even when they're underdogs. So the last T20 tournament, they weren't favorites to win, and they ended up winning it and playing good cricket as they did. So I'm going to throw Australia into the mix, but I believe that South Africa have the right balance to win this tournament. It's about execution. And if they can execute the plans that they have, South Africa is going to be a very dangerous team. But I'm going to throw Australia into the mix. Who's yours, Aditya?
I think favorites for the T20 World Cup. India. Wait, how many teams are you selecting? You said four?
I just picked one, Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, in that case, I'm going to go with India.
Okay.
I thought we were picking four. That's why I thought,
Yeah.
perhaps we can go in that direction. But I mean, we also can't underestimate New Zealand in those conditions. We can't underestimate Pakistan, because I think Pakistan has the pace bowling attack for those conditions and things like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah. Aditya, will you be attending any of the India versus SA games?
In Australia?
No, I think he's talking about
Oh,
when South Africa.
when
Yeah,
South Africa come here? No, probably not, brother. No, it's not in. It's happening in cities
that's far from you.
outside of Bombay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Panel question: what will be the best way to go about tomorrow? If we still want to win the match, surely we need to be proactive, positive, 100%. We're gonna have to put on as much runs as possible in the shortest space of time. If you want to get an outcome of a win. If they're looking at a draw, then they can take their bloody old time like they normally do and just play boring cricket. But
But they also need to reassess conditions because
Yes.
weather has played a role. So
Yeah.
the nature of the pitch may not be the same.
Hmm. I know we often do this as cricket fans. I've seen it often on this channel. Is that we go with predetermined game plans on how we think we the South Africa should play based on what has been said about the pitch. But sometimes the conditions change and the pitch can act up differently to what we originally thought. Like Manchester, everybody thought that that ball was going to swing because of the overhead conditions, and yet they didn't get swing. They got nip off the pitch. James Anderson spoke to Broad and said that they should change the way they bowl from the original plan. That's what you need in your team. Players that can not just take the game plan and try to stick to it. Adaptability is important. And South Africa, in the past, have always had that issue. Me and Atisha did an interview with Dion Botas, where he gave us that insight. Some of our players have always stuck to the script. They don't like to improvise. And I think sometimes we need to use your mentality to improvise. You need to use your cricket knowledge to be able to improvise according to what the conditions are. I don't know if a teacher can give me a figure here, if he's done any research on this, but approximately how much is the cost of hosting a test match? I don't actually know the figures.
So
Do you know?
before yeah right before the pandemic hit, it was about $200,000 was the bare minimum
Shit.
of hosting a test match.
Hectic.
Yeah,
Hectic. So it's close to 2 million rand almost for South Africa. I mean,
yeah.
it's like,
This
oh, just
is
oh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So, but this is again, I'm talking about pre-pandemic because like
Yeah.
post-pandemic, that would have increased a lot,
Yeah.
because you're talking about, testing regularly and, having, sanitation measures and things like that, which cost money, um,
Hmm.
and advancements in technology. So I don't know what the numbers are now, but even listen, why when I say the 200,000 is that's a conservative figure. That's the bare minimum of hosting a test match. So if you're one of the big three, or your broadcaster has that much more money, then the coverage is a bit more sophisticated, and you have more cameras, and you have your spider cam and all of that good stuff. So
Hmm.
that changes.
CSI needs to revamp their marketing strategy to bring back fans to the stadiums. Fans in South Africa are disconnected to cricket. It's true, and that's why we're trying to reconnect fans with cricket again. South Africa, some of them don't even know the teams, the domestic teams, which is 100% true, and I agree with you. Result of this test match is in South Africa's hands. If they get all out early, England will back themselves and play baseball. So need to play smartly. We need That's very true. We need to play smartly. Well, I want to talk about the smart cricket. This is when it comes to the fold because this favors, I think, England a lot more if we don't get runs on the board because they can play this baseball cricket and the 2 days, 3 days that we'll have of cricket falls into their hands completely, and they understand the conditions a lot better. The Oval is a very very famous ground. They'll understand the conditions a lot better. Um, in relation to the topic of the show, it's a shame we're less likely to see the likes of Reinhard van Tonder, Jonathan Bird, Lifa and Tansi set to dominate in Test cricket in the future because the potential is plenty. Matthew Bretsky, Jordan Hillman, Ruanda Swart. There are so many, even young school boys like Richard Selatswani. Now, let's get to the topic. I was asked whether Mitch van Buren and um, will get a call up to the next protest. Will he be next in line, and who else is next in line? For me personally, if I look at each position, which I'm going to try to do right now, I'm going to for the opening position for me personally, I would go with a younger guy like Matthew Bretsky as a next opener in line after the likes of the experienced guys, of course, that are already in line. But after that, I would put a guy like Matthew Bretsky into the mix or Joshua Richards into the mix as an opener. I think in the 3-4 position, I think you could throw John O'Bird if he has a good season and Dan Smith if he has a good season as well. Those are youngsters. I'm going to go more for younger guys. 3 or 4, I'm looking at Reinhard van Tonder, Tony De Zorzi, and Zubair Hamza if he comes back, or when he comes back. Looking at 4, 5, 6, or 5, 6, mostly the lower middle order. For me, that's the most the trickiest part for me to find. A lot of our batters are performing well are all top order batters. We're not finding a lot. There's not a lot of 5 6s in our system necessarily. But you can look at the guy like perhaps like Subs Makanya is one that could do that job. Uh, Siniteme Koshile, I'm hoping that he will have a good season over the next few seasons. We've got a Jordan Herman that is brilliant as well, who can bat anywhere in the top order. You've got quite who else is there? Is there anybody that stands out to you, Aticha, if you're thinking right now? I know Wesley Marshall's also a very talented player that's also in the top order. Top order. Then you've got Ackerman. Yes, I forgot about Ackerman. Rulofson, of course. Beddingham's a tricky one, guys, because we know the story about Beddingham. I mean, I broke the story on Beddingham as well. So he's he's made it his intention to play for he's made himself available to play for England. We don't know if Victor is still going to have a conversation with him and whether he will choose. Perhaps I can catch up with him and try to find out what he thinks. Then then we talk a little bit further. Maybe we can go down into the all-rounder roles. I don't think Dwan Janssen is far off from being like a backup for his brother. I think for that 7 position or even or 8 position in a way. Um, when I look at the likes of, this is particularly in red ball cricket I'm talking about right now, guys. So I'm looking at a Jason Smith, hoping that he can come good. I'm looking at a Diane Halim and hoping he can come good. I'm looking at a Delano Potgieter that has been in the system for quite some time, putting on the runs. I'm looking at a guy like perhaps, I think Mapongwana has impressed me a lot. Simalani has impressed me quite a bit, but we need to see more of that. Vian Libber, good shout, but he's a little bit more. He's a little bit older than the guys that I've obviously been talking about and mentioning. And Ethan Bosch is another opportunity, another person in the bowling department. Though we have a lot. There's Lee Van I think Gerald Coetzee is probably the closest. But I've mentioned a hell of a lot of players that are young and talented. But which one of those do I feel is the next in line, or which one do you think, Aditya, are the next in line? For me personally, I think Gerald Coetzee is in a setup currently in white ball cricket. So in white ball cricket, I think Gerald Coetzee is very close to probably getting next in line to be a Protea. I also think Deva Brevis is very close to getting an opportunity, because, especially in T20 cricket, more than one day cricket. And I think Tony DeZorzi is very close. I think he's on the brink in all formats. I think he needs another good season, and perhaps you will start to see him more often. If I look a little bit further, I think Bjorn Fortuin, a young spinner that is should be in the Proteas squad, in my opinion. Um, and then we need to look at in T20 cricket as well. Uh, we have to look at T20 cricket as well. Sorry, when you're looking at Test cricket, I do think that the selectors will have a close eye on Reinhard van Toonder. I really do think that they're going to have a close eye on Reinhard. And I've mentioned Tony as well, but I think Reinhard is going to be on their radar. He was already part of the Test squad before. Hopefully, he never got an opportunity to have his play, but he was part of the Test squad, and I think he could be on the brink of something special if he can put on another good performance and balance out his runs all around the ground. Another player I think in white ball cricket is Corbin Bosch. I see him being mentioned a lot in the live chat as well. I think Corbin Bosch is starting to make a name for himself. If he can get his control a lot better, then we'd be in a different ball game altogether. Any people you want to mention, Aditya, before I get to some of the answers we've been given in the live chat?
No, I was going to say from the batting point of view, Tony DeZorzi, given his performance against India A in December last year, was fantastic. And Gerald Coetzee is definitely on the radar because he's obviously he's obviously in the squad. But remember, he was also recommended by Faf du Plessis to be recruited as a premier signing for the Joburg Super Kings. So yeah, I think these two players, in my view, should be in there. And then Corbin Bosch, of course, he's playing the CPL right now, and he's he does well. He'll definitely get a chance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get to some of the people that you guys have mentioned in in the live chat. We've got the Sozi and Vian Libber. Rickleton, of course, yeah, but Rickleton's already part of the test squad, so I won't count him because I expect him to start more now going forward. Got Corbin Bosch in here, Delano Potgieter, Ruan de Swart, of course. Ruan is Ruan is so talented. Oh my god, he can do both disciplines so well. I just feel that he needs a proper opportunity. If Ruan gets to start a lot more games for a franchise, we're gonna really see his talent. And I don't think he's that's it's been consistent enough at the Dolphins. There are a lot of players that they need to look after and make sure that they are okay and play games as many games as possible. With Jason Smith moving there, it would make it a little bit more difficult for him to get into the team. But I sense a very good future, big future for Rwanda Swat if he can just get more game time. Jason Niemand. I mean, I'm a big fan of Jason Niemand. Jason knows it himself. I mean, I saw him at Kaya Majorla Week and I was instantly taken by him. His personality, his attitude, his ability as a batter, the concentration that the boy had to stay long at the crease. He has everything that is needed to be a great a red ball cricketer or test cricketer. But the problem is he's not in Division One, and until he can get into Division One, I don't think it's going to be very easy for him to get into the setup properly. And I think that would be a good move for him, is to move to a Division One side and get more opportunities to play. He's a number three batter, and he is brilliant. He reminds me a little bit of Joe Root in his approach, in the way he bats. That's what I like about Jason Niemand is the technique, the way he bats, the patience, the class, the drives. It reminds me a little bit of Joe Root in a way, personality wise too. So I'm a big fan of Jason Niemand, and I hope that he does get an opportunity. Someone says Ethan Bosch, Libber, Evan Jones again. Evan Jones again. He's another kid on the block at the moment that's getting quite good hype. SA need good bowlers as well as other than KG, Anna, Lungi, Janssen, and Olivier. We don't have good bowlers. Pamela Stearman aren't good enough to play Test cricket. I don't agree with you there. I think Stearman and Pamela are good enough to play Test cricket. I just don't think South Africa utilizes them correctly. I've said this over and over again, and if I can see it, then South Africa should see it. Uh, Clinton Stearman is a new ball bowler. He's a first spell new ball bowler that takes wickets in his first spell. His second, third spells are not necessarily when the ball gets older. He's not as effective and as lethal as he is with the new ball. So I believe if he does play Test cricket, he should open the bowling. Now, he needs to find ways on to be more skillful and more controlled with the older ball. He doesn't have the best of the quickest. He's not the quickest of bowlers with regards to 150, 145 consistently. Those 130s and 140s. But I feel that if he can find a way on how to take wickets with the old ball, he'll be lethal. He'll be very dangerous. But at the moment, they should play him as a new ball bowler if they're going to give him opportunity to bowl. There are a lot of fast bowlers coming through the system, however. There's the likes of Gerald Kutsia, we've mentioned already. Michael Pretorius, we've mentioned. Even the Pavlon, he's on the radar. We've got Lazard Williams. I think Lazard Williams is talented. We've got Lifan Tanzi, Tando Ntini, Nandre Berger, Corbin Bosch. I can just rattle off quick bowlers all around. So I feel we have a very good pipeline of fast bowlers. I think that's the one department I'm not too worried about. I think the main department I'm worried about is finding batters that can play Test cricket and take the pressure. It's particularly top order batters where we're lacking runs at the moment. Matthew Post is someone that Nantini and Tanzan has been mentioned by Suraj. Uh, oops. Carl Simmons, Sean Whitehead, Junaid Dawood, and Manak. Junaid Dawood's an interesting one. I do think is Dawood ready for international cricket? I do think that Dawood needs another year or two in domestic cricket to get regular game time because he was a little bit, I would say, Western Province didn't, in my opinion, I don't think they treated him that well. And I felt that he could have gotten a lot more game time than he did. I think he should have been the next spinner that gets called up after Dane Pitt, but it never actually happened like that. It didn't happen in that way. They actually went on and to sign spinners, etc., to get spinners from other provinces. So it's an interesting story that we can tell in the future. But I think Junaid Dawood is extremely skillful and he's a winning mentality, which is very important. But I do think that he needs to put himself hard on the radar by getting more opportunities to play the game and showing what he's capable of. Uh, let's see some more at the bottom of here. Tian van Vuren is another player. Yes, I hope that he gets more Division One cricket. Khalid, how good is our high performance center to bring these guys through the system? Is it good enough, or does it need new ideas and some tweaking? I think high performance centers always need new ideas and tweaking. Uh, to have a high performance center, you need to be up to date with the times, with the new equipment, with the new ways of thinking, with the new psychologies going around. High performance centers need to continuously improve, otherwise you get caught behind. I think that Vinny Barnes has done an excellent job, particularly with our fast bowlers. He's done an excellent job at the high performance center and seeing the young talent in our bowling department so early and working on them. I do think that the high performance center is a brilliant place. It's really helping our women's cricket a lot, particularly. But I do think for our younger players, it is cool. But obviously, it always needs improving and tweaking. I haven't visited the high performance center yet. I would love to. So, Vinny, I'm here. If you want to invite me over and show me around.
Sorry, I have one more thing to add to that question. Um, when we interviewed Richard Das Nevis for the magazine, he said that it's very important for individuals to be aware of what the system needs because oftentimes, and I get caught up in this as well, is that why aren't there enough 150 plus bowlers? So obviously that is partially accurate, but Richard has never also said that it's good to have a 150 plus bowler, but you also need the sort of bowler that can hit the cone on off stump every single time. And he said you get bowlers to do it, they're generally missing a mile. They're missing by a mile. So we can talk about speed, but let's talk about control first. So I felt like that was an important point to consider because that's when you think about Dale Stein's extraordinary strike rate, right? And you feel like, wow, that's a guy who is electric, and he also had incredible control,
Hmm.
which is a rare gift. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, we have very good examples of control in South African cricket in the past. I mean, Sean Pollock was
Bern
amazing at that towards the end of
Vernon
his career.
Philander.
Fernie Philander was amazing at that too. I mean, even to an extent, you could throw Jock Cullis into that mix too because he got wickets even though he was only bowling 135, so heavy balls. So that is interesting. Um, let's move on. Who would you play instead of Rassi? Is it Riley or Riza? Riley for me is our number three in my view. I think some unfair things are going to be happening to Riza with the return of Timber, unfortunately, even though he's 100% in form.
Are we talking about the T20 World Cup here?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah, I
has
think
to be.
so. A couple of days ago, I was talking about an ideal top six, and Gaurav, if you go back to that show, you'll see that um, South Africa is probably that only team where if you play Timber, Quinton, Riley, Aiden, David Miller, Tristan Stubbs, it's the only top six that has three left-handers and three right-handers, and I don't think a lot of people understand how much of an asset that is to South African cricket. And um, the sort of dominance that it can result in for South Africa in the World Cup. Um, so I think it's unfortunate. Reza should get a lot more opportunity, and he should continue doing what he's been doing. Um, but I personally feel like that top six, it's got the bang for the buck.
Okay, let's read out Campbell's options. He says Donovan Ferreira, Marco Morea, Evan Jones, Heath Richards, Corbin Bosch could be good finishers. Khalid, please read. I can't. Uh, I get up to a point where I can't go right to the top. Oh, wait, I can. Oh, wait, I can. Okay, cool. So let me get some of the top ones. Oh, I see why you asked me because all your comments are here. Khalid, it's foolish decision. I've read that. I'm hoping Donovan Ferreira can have a great season so that he can so that we can have a depth of finishes for the Proteas. A very good option. I would like to see Marco Morea revive his career again as well. He was a very quality. He was a very talented finisher, and I just feel that maybe he got stuck a little bit and needed to just improve his game and take it to the next level and learn some extra skills to keep him more consistent. Also, it didn't help that he didn't pick up a Division One contract. I think he played Division Two cricket. So yeah, and I'm gonna get back to the bottom one. I don't see any others there that I really want to bring up. Khalid, no jokes, but Riza will be good Test cricketer as well. Yeah, there was a time where they were talking about him as being the next person to step up until that horrendous injury that he got. Um, and yes, Riza would, but I do think that we need to maybe go for another younger option. In my opinion, I want to give some youngsters opportunities now. It's the right opportunity to do so. I feel the best opportunity would be obviously with experienced guys, and then you would maybe tweak a couple of positions and have the backups in your squad. But we don't have that situation right now. I think having a senior at the top of the order in Dean Alga, one in the middle order in Temba Bavuma when he comes back, and then having a experience in Keshaf at that eighth position roundabout gives you a nice, and then KG in the bowling position, it gives you a nice core to work with of experience that you can build around. Put youngsters in those 3, 4 slots, 5 slots where the bulk of the runs are mostly scored. Those are important positions of your in your test squad. So I think we can find the next ones, but we've now made our decisions, and we need to give the guys that have been given opportunities a longer extended run. I don't think just dropping and changing everything now is a smart move. You've already started this way, finish this way, and then try and change with the strategy after that. Thoughts on Bavuma opening? Only problem with him is he can't score fast and creates pressure on non-strikers. Since Bavuma has started playing T20 SA, haven't been had good power play without losing wicket by an opener. It is a problem, and Quinny is also a massive problem of that. I think Quinny hasn't been in form for a long time in our white ball in the T20 arena, so we need him to come back with form, and that will I think will take a lot of pressure off the person that's on the other end. But I do think I always thought that Bavuma had the right qualities to open with Quinny to get the best out of Quinny, but I don't think that is maybe the right way to think about things. With the squad that we have currently, with the form that everybody's in, I think we should go with our best side every time, who's the most informed. But I don't think that's going to happen with the inclusion of Temba Bavuma as our captain for the World Cup. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Aticha, thanks a lot for joining me and keeping me company. I really enjoy it all the time when you do. But to all the fans out there, we're going to see some cricket hopefully tomorrow, and we get things back to normal again. Hopefully, let's see what happens. But thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to the magazine uh, as well, please. It's the links on the screen as well as in the description. This is the latest issue of the mag. It's about being a captain with Dean Alga on the front cover, so please go ahead and download that. Also, get involved on cricketfanaticsmag.com, please. That's where we give you guys regular content. The guys on Facebook will know because we share all our content on Facebook from our website, so they will know about it. But you guys on YouTube don't. If you are watching on Facebook, please head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there because we do daily shows, so daily videos on this channel. So this you'll only get on a Friday when there is a space open if there's no cricket happening, test cricket happening. So please get involved and move over to YouTube as well. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. No, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another review show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Peace.